welcome back to the podcast. Another one here in the studio, St. Louis, Missouri. Back again with a friend. Here with me, though, first, my co-host. You can introduce yourself from now on.
Scotty Scoop.
Scotty Scoop, welcome back, man.
Ow, ow, ow. I'm here. Good to be back.
You're here. Usually I'm like, cool shirt. Today I'm not saying that.
Yeah. Not super cool at all. I got the work/golf gear on.
You do look like you're about to work or /golf.
I did not golf. I did work.
All right, and then in the third chair, basically an honorary co-host at this time, a return friend, your go-to St. Louis practitioner for all things Dungeons & Dragons, Sam the DM.
I love the honorific. You got
AKA.
it right on the money.
Did I get it right?
S. Kemp the Third.
Was it right? Was it correct?
Yeah, it was damn close. I appreciate it. My lore is getting out there, and that's, I think, a good sign.
Back again with another show around the corner, doing it again. Bubbles and Bards, a live Dungeons & Dragons brunch. We'll be poking this in throughout the episode. Dark Harvest is the title this time.
Oh yeah, it's Halloween themed.
It's spooky.
Absolutely. We're getting spooky scary on this one for every goth's favorite holiday.
Live one shot Dungeons & Dragons campaign story in front of your eyes with brunch. You got some improv funny people, comedians joining you. Connor Branson, Tommy Iborg, is that right?
That is exactly right.
Tree Sanchez.
Yep.
They're back again, so you'll have your crew there. Scott's seen this. I've seen this.
I've been to every one.
I would say if you've been teetering, man, you got to go. It is so much fun. Congratulations. And you've also published the Cobra Express. Since the last time we talked, it's officially happened. We have a copy
right here.
And
Absolutely.
He signed it. Give us that name again, Scott.
He signed it. H.S. Kemp the Third.
Yes.
Horace Samuel Kemp III. Because, I mean, you mentioned you're maybe not the best for SEO because you're Sam the DM.
Yes.
However, I want people to start seeing it because you are an author now. Congrats.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah. So the Cobra Express is a Dungeons & Dragons module, an adventure written down for any DMs out there that would like to run it for their tables. And it's available at spacepenguin.inc. And just search for Cobra Express. And yes, I have chosen for some reason to have my author's name be H.S. Kemp because it sounds more authory.
Yeah, sophisticated.
Indeed.
Yeah. It'd be
Indeed.
weird if it just said Sam the DM. It's not like
Sam
I
the
don't know.
DM would be wild on the cover of a book.
Yes.
Oh, the DM?
Yes.
Interesting. I guess there's no other ones out there.
And how's life been since the publishing? You mentioned that you got your first check for
Yes.
some sales.
I
mean,
have for the first time in my life received financial recuperation for some words that I wrote, which is absolutely fucking insane. I turned words into money. And if you take my 2-hour course, you too can learn how to luck into meeting some very nice publishers that are interested in your work.
And the real selling point is to players, right? It's get the book and play the shit out of this.
Absolutely, yeah. If you are playing Dungeons & Dragons and you don't want to write your own adventure or you're looking for something new, particularly if you are a new player, a new dungeon master that's just trying to get your feet under you, the Cobra Express is a Dungeons & Dragons adventure designed for level 1 parties, and I wrote it with the sort of newbie dungeon master in mind. It is a very fun story with a lot of fun side characters and fights in it, but it is fairly straightforward. It's a train heist, so your whole adventuring party only has to move in one direction, fighting off bandits and things like that. But while there's enough in there to be fun for veterans, it's also a bit easier to manage than some more complicated published materials out there, and it is lovingly illustrated by Jakey Holder, an amazing artist who really brought all of this stuff to life. And spacepenguin.inc. You can get a copy of the Cobra Express for your very own self, and I will have copies of this for sale at my show, Bubbles and Bards, at City Winery STL on October 27th.
October 27th, which this is coming out tomorrow on Thursday. Today, Thursday, if you're listening right now. Hopefully you are right when this drops. This is just in a few days. Get your tickets at citywinery.com/St. Louis. We also have 2 free tickets up for grabs at mostlysuperheroes.com/contests.
Ow, ow, ow.
So you get those. So, hey, go enter to win. We could send you there for free. Or if you're just got a group ready to go, buy your tickets. We'll come back to this again and again and toward the end of the episode and talk about some Dungeons & Dragons stuff. Get for you D&D fans that are showing up today. You see Sam the DM back here again. But first, let's bounce around the table and do some nerdy stuff.
New news and rumors.
All right, how about Blade? The Blade MCU movie with Mahershala Ali has been on delay for years and years. I mean, multiple
I think
years.
we've passed its release date twice.
At least twice. I think 3 or 4 times. Like,
Yeah.
it was pushed many times, and now it's been removed from the schedule completely, and people are using the word indefinitely.
Marvel
Yeah.
Studios has put a stake in the heart of this beloved franchise, and they've put a stake in my heart as well. I was so excited.
And they replaced it with like a Alien Romulus 2 or something.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like on the schedule, which makes
But
me
I'm
think,
down.
I think we're just getting into these technical, like, removed from the schedule, because maybe, or am I just, I'm not ready to accept this yet, obviously.
I think there is, and this is coming from someone that knows absolutely nothing about studio movie production, so you can trust me. But I think, whenever a property gets into development hell like this, usually I think that stuff's more behind the scenes. But the fact that Disney has to so far in advance lay out exactly what's coming out like a comic book writer, so all the fans can get all the Easter eggs and make all the connections between all the films. They have to put out this calendar. And so, yeah, now they're like, if they don't do their book report, we all know about it. And I think that's one of the interesting things about the way Marvel's putting out these movies these days.
Yeah,
normally,
the game has changed. We had Brandon Davis on, formerly at comicbook.com. Now he's freelance doing his own thing. You can find Brandon Davis out there doing his own thing right now. Like, setting his own, after 10 years of the comic book, he's setting his own shoots. It's kind of crazy.
Still doing it.
And still doing it big time. And he was saying, when he was on here, like, the same thing you're saying, like, the looking out, trying to plan 30 titles. And for a comic book series, it, like, works because everybody sticks to the plan. The stories stay this way, and you just kind of play out all these storylines.
Mm-hmm.
The movies are not this way anymore.
Yeah.
They're reacting to what happens real time
Mm-hmm.
and then changing the next movie or 5 or 10
yes.
based, and probably only like 3, right? Like, okay,
Sure.
we'll do Deadpool and Wolverine. Now let's just focus on these 4 movies, which they, like, talked about at Comic-Con when after the fact, where it's like Avengers Secret Wars, Avengers Doomsday, Fantastic Four, Captain America, Thunderbolts. Like, we're focusing on that for a minute.
Yep.
And Blade was always far out there, so I guess we all were. But, like, to hear that it's just, like, not happening, and we can see Mahershala Ali in the role so clearly, and we all want it so bad. What are you feeling, Scotty? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That was it. That was great.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's
That
perfect.
says it all.
I think there's one Blade quote that applies to Marvel. Motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
There it is.
It's not the one I thought you were
there
going to say.
There it is.
You know the one I was going to say? There's only one
There's
blade.
only one blade.
and there's
only
only
ever
going to
be
be
one
one blade.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
say that.
it's
If you know, you know.
It's a real tragedy. The Blade films mean a whole lot to me as a nerd and as a black nerd in general. And as soon as I heard this was coming out, I was over the moon. Very excited to see Mahershala Ali in this role. It is very unfortunate that this is not coming to pass. And I guess I'll just content myself with watching
the original
Wesley
Qualogy.
Snipes. Yes.
The Qualogy.
The
Quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy.
Well,
4 movies, right?
it's
Let's talk about the old ones.
It's
3 movies.
It's 3 movies.
Plus
series.
the
And
DVD with the 4-film collection of the Blade House of Chthon that you borrowed from this studio.
I did so very long ago.
And you brought it back tonight. And you
Yes.
said you watched it.
Yeah.
We need the review and, like, your complete thoughts.
Oh,
So,
God.
Sticky fingers. How did he do?
Spoiler alert! Like, go for it.
Let me tell you guys. So I love Blades 1 and 2 without any reservation. Blade Trinity got some problems, but Wesley Snipes is still karate kicking vampires. It's fine. The thing about House of Chthon is that it is an FX TV show about Blade, and I don't think anyone really had a good time making it. It is kind of it's a bit. I had a hard time getting through it. I'm going to be honest with you. Now my pedigree as someone that enjoys nerd fiction is I hate watched like 4 seasons of Arrow and like 2 seasons of Flash.
Yeah,
I am not
I'm with
scared of enjoying trash TV. Those are not, in my opinion, very good TV shows.
They had their time.
They did. And one of the things that they have that House of Chthon does not have is good fight choreography. It's very Joss Whedon, early Buffy. It's a lot of quick cuts. You don't know what's going on.
And it's not Wesley Snipes.
No. Wesley Snipes can throw a spinning back kick like nobody's fucking business.
Oh, we
and
know.
that level of fitness and kung fu skill is unfortunately not present in House Chthon. So very quickly what happens is it starts in Russia. Wesley Snipes is chasing down some like Russian general with medals and the silly hat. And this guy's just running down like an industrial hallway. No one knows. They don't say why. He's not in like a military base or anything. It's just a hallway with a lot of tubes in it. Then you hear a motorcycle revving as this guy's just running down a hallway. And Blade is on a motorcycle indoors in like a service corridor chasing this vampire.
Not Wesley Snipes.
Not Wesley Snipes.
Just
no,
a different
no.
actor playing Blade.
Yes.
Sticky fingers.
Yes.
Oh, right. Sticky fingers.
Yes.
Okay.
So Blade rides this guy down. He's like, where are they moving the bodies? And then they have a kung fu fight. It's not very well choreographed. Blade kills the guy. And basically the premise of the show is that this woman returns from a tour in Iraq. Her brother got killed by vampires. She's investigating. She finds the vampires. They turn her into a daywalker like Blade is.
Oh.
Because they're trying to do some like weird Nazi experiment stuff to like make a daywalker on their own.
It's like the super soldier serum.
Exactly.
Serum.
Yeah. So she meets the head vampire, turns her, and now this poor woman is a daywalker exactly like Blade is. So she has to like take a serum to not kill people, and she's got superpowers. So the problem with that, and I don't mind sidekicks, I don't mind, as if you're going to draw this out into a whole TV show, you have to have a character that represents the audience walking into all this crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that the strength of the original 3 Blade movies is that Wesley Snipes is cool and he's fun to look at, and as like a monosyllabic protagonist, it's fine because you're there for 90 minutes, then you go home.
Yeah.
But if you make a TV show, you've got hours and hours of time to fill. So half this show, there's only like an hour and a half. So I think it's the pilot that's actually on this DVD.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So they made 12.
Wow.
I Googled it.
They were going all in.
Yeah.
They were like, this trilogy's so good.
They
This TV
thought-
show's going to be so good.
They thought they had it. They only made 12 episodes of the show, and I don't know what.
They did make them. So they're out there.
Yeah.
It says on
I
the
think they
internet there's
aired-
12 episodes.
I think they aired originally on Spike.
Oh, God.
It says FX.
If it's that bad,
Spike
if
is
it's
an
that,
FX brand.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right about that.
if it's that bad, it's usually that fun to talk about. So
Well,
it might
it's
be worth checking out.
It's interesting. Like they try to do the Blade thing. There's vampires of human goons with glyphs on them and stuff, like in the original movies, and it's still like Blade has to take his his medicine so he doesn't eat people. But there's some things that are a little off. Whistler's gone, obviously, because canonically he eats it.
So this is post
Everything.
Blade 3?
Post everything.
Okay.
Whistler's gone, and Blade's got some brand new sidekick who's like a, hip. He looks like a DJ. He's got like a beanie and a bunch of jewelry and stuff, and he's like the tech guy that makes his serum.
Wow.
So we, got a brand new face there, but there's no one really to connect to. There's like this lady that comes in. She's trying to solve her brother's murder, and like it's just not too terribly compelling. The acting's pretty flat, and the fight scenes aren't good. I do not recommend it.
I feel like you really took a bullet for us watching
It
this.
was hard. It was hard to sit through, man. Like
I feel like we were like,
Any
yeah,
other
man.
familiar faces
Like we're all
in this thing?
we're joking
No.
around, like take this DVD home and laughing about it. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it.
I sat down and I was like, I'm gonna watch this, but boy, I
Thank
feel
you.
bad for like there's podcasts out there like The Worst Idea of All Time, where some comedians will sit and watch like Sex in the City 2 once a week for like a whole year.
Over and over.
Craziest, yes. So the whole genre of like stunt media consumption,
Yeah.
as a challenge. I am not built for it.
Yeah.
If the property has that many problems, I just can't.
bail.
Boy, yeah, I can't get through it. But yeah, it was rough. It was not great. There was some interesting stuff. They make a reference to Moon Knight in it, a very offhand reference, and they thread in some footage from like the original Blade movie. because this lady that gets turned, who's like the sidekick in this whole thing, she goes to some old guy that's like an expert on vampires, and he's got like garlic around his door frame, and he like barely answers, the door when she knocks and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, vampires are real? What are you going to tell me? Werewolves are real too?" And he's like, "My friend Mark Spector deals with that stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that's
Nice.
that's pretty good. That's not bad."
And here we go. Start weaving the web. Like
Yeah.
we got the multiverse taking place.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm so out of the loop with Marvel stuff that for a second, much to my shame, very sorry to the nerds out there, I was like, Mark Spector, is that Werewolf by Night? Of course not. Of course not.
I didn't
It's-
know until Moon Knight came out as the show.
Yeah, Mark
Werewolf by
Spector is
Night.
Have you seen the show?
Mark
Jack
Spector
Russell.
is
Jack
Moon Knight.
Russell.
Yeah.
I'm about to rewatch
I messed that
in
up.
Werewolf
I messed
by
that
Night
up.
in living color with
It's
the holiday with the Halloween.
God, it's so good.
I
And
enjoy
they're
it.
teasing maybe a second one.
Oh well, yeah. They said there's gonna be a follow up. Finally,
God, I hope so.
finally.
Yeah.
I was so into the family and Bloodstone and
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Elsa Bloodstone.
All right. Well, thank you for watching the fourth Blade cinematic title that was going to be on TV, telling us about it. Do you want to keep the DVD?
House of Chthon.
You've
I
earned
mean,
it.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, you keep that.
If
as
you're
a
not-
souvenir. I can sign it. We got the Sharpie.
Yeah. Oh, I'll get some mileage
You
out of
could
this
put
for
some
sure.
syrup on it so you could get some sticky fingers.
This will go.
Next time you try to play it.
This will
sticky
go.
fingers.
This will go well with my Blade VHS, which is normally how I enjoy the film. Now I
Keep
get
that.
to
You-
watch it in widescreen.
You literally earned it, man. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
All right, that's your
it's not
Blade
good.
fill, and then we'll all say fingers crossed for the future movie.
It's not going to happen.
It will happen one day.
It may happen. It will not be with Mahershala Ali.
Ooh, you think it's
He
bad?
is-
We burn the bridges are burned.
He is 50 years old.
Okay.
You also have to ask yourself how much of this has this poor man had to shoot so far?
Nothing.
Nothing?
They have shot nothing. They wrote it. They rewrote it. They rewrote it again. The director has quit multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing has been filmed.
It's a real bummer. I was really looking forward to that one. I've checked out from a lot of the Marvel of it all lately, and I enjoyed like the first like wave of Marvel films, and like what do they break them up? Waves, generations, phases.
Yeah.
I enjoyed phase 1, and I got through most of phase 2 before I just started, doing other stuff. But like, I was really looking forward to Blade, and
Deadpool and Wolverine.
real bummer. I meant to go see that, but
Dare I
boy.
say the MCU is back? Like it was good. It was
That's
fun.
That's what I hear from all corners, is that it was a great flick. I wanted to go see it in theaters,
Seeing
but
that
I've been
formula, I mean, I'm excited.
I'm of the opinion the MCU was never gone.
Yeah, and I want you to know I am too. I've always been there. We've liked
all
everything.
the films.
I know
yes.
you're right. I shouldn't I kind of cave on my.
Were
myself.
they as strong as some other films lately?
You're
No.
right. You're everything. I know. I think about that too. I'm like Miss Marvel, good.
Yeah.
She-Hulk, good.
Good.
Like not my favorite, but still good. Eternals,
Yeah.
one of my favorites. I mean, so we don't have to. This is the podcast where we love the MCU. So good to have a fan that's maybe been away for a while, and you're talking to us. So we're gonna loop. We'll get you going again.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might need to grill y'all for some of the current lore and stats, because I don't know anything about what's going on in the MCU right now. I will say that it is a beautiful privilege to have, to be able to complain that there's, quote, too many superhero
You
movies.
got that right.
That's an amazing problem
Yes,
to have.
and I'm grateful. Like I'm just grateful for it to be made. I'm
Absolutely,
just like, man,
yeah.
this is, like even Venom. Like see, we got our Venom review out there right now. If you're thinking about seeing it before the weekend, there's a spoiler-free review out there for you right now. And even that, it's just like, this movie's weird. I'm happy to have a Venom movie on screen. Like that's fun. All right, let's bounce to you, Scotty. I know that you talking about live shows. You had a live show last night.
Just last night
At the factory.
At the factory, I saw Avatar: The Last Airbender in concert.
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice. Who was
yeah.
playing that?
It was symphony orchestra.
No way.
Yeah.
And they had like visuals on the screen.
Yeah,
right.
You could. You're watching specially cut scenes, and maybe anywhere from like 1 minute to maybe 2.5 minute pieces
Yeah.
that they will accompany the scene with.
Yeah.
And play the score. Full. I think it was like I think I counted 21 or 22 orchestra set. And yeah, I took my daughter and her friend, who are both in band, And then I gave away 2 tickets to another couple friends.
Yeah, shout out Steve Lippman Presents for sponsoring a newsletter of ours and giving us tickets away to this show. Got to send us to the show and some friends. Kujo got to make it.
Kujo and Ashley sat next to them.
Nice.
Yeah, this concert was fantastic.
Really, what was the experience like? It was just like you're living the fandom. The music's like just loud. It's kind of take over in that nice theater.
Yeah,
wow.
Just bits and pieces. They encompass the whole story from back to front. I think it started around 7:30 and ended about 10 o'clock.
Wow.
With just a short intermission in between. Definitely go see this.
Yeah,
if you're a fan of,
it's like a tour. It's like a
if you're
worldwide
a fan of,
tour.
Orchestra music.
Yeah,
and if you're a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, like check it out.
Yeah,
it was amazing. My daughter, she just got into marching band this year, and she was just floored. And the conductor, director, I'm not sure what the difference is or what you would call him, a maestro.
Yeah, all of them work, I think. All those work.
She talked a little bit at the end of the show about, how they just got this group together and it's just a bunch of people who love the anime and they love playing music.
Hell yeah.
And that it's a job. And
a great job.
Yeah,
you're like living your dream.
Like this
not to be that guy, but
to do this.
I was in band in high school.
Yeah,
totally.
Man, I
first chair baritone.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
Yes, euphonium. If you are a real nerd.
Man, I played cello for 7 years.
Whoa,
I get it.
That's a real instrument. You're like
Nora plays cello.
I was down in Bon Terre playing the baritone. You were I don't know where like playing that's a real instrument. You still do it? You pick it up?
They're all God no. One of my greatest regrets is that I left that behind. It was just like it was just an easy elective that I took for like 7 years and never committed to it. I don't think I could play.
We
a
are
single
dangerously
note now.
close to starting a band right now.
Oh God,
It's
yeah.
like,
That's exactly what the world
Can you play?
needs.
I can sing.
Well, we both sing. All right, so you had a good time. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, fantastic time.
Cool for the kids too, because it is cool to think about like if you're pursuing music, like all of a sudden like movie scores and stuff like that, TV scores.
Yeah.
Like I was super nerdy. Michael Giacchino Lost composer. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
And, that would be amazing. I would just listen to that like while I worked, like I was listening to the radio.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look more for this kind of stuff when it comes around.
Yeah, bringing classical composition into that context really, really allows people to enjoy what can be seen as a very pretentious or inaccessible genre of music. And yeah, it's really important. I've always wanted to go check out the St. Louis Symphony because they'll do things like that for all kinds of stuff, right? They'll have like Star Wars nights or Final Fantasy nights and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one
like
doing
Spider-Verse,
Cowboy Bebop.
Oh my
the pageant.
God!
It's either coming up or just happened.
Okay.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that's that good stuff. That's an incredible St. Louis institution that I do not take advantage of, and everyone should. The St. Louis Symphony Orchestra is incredible.
Yeah, and like I'm embarrassed to say I've never been. Like that's like one of those things.
Me neither, man.
It's like living, by the Arch. You don't like go to the Arch every day. Like that's what we need to make it like being a tourist in our own town.
Yeah,
go see the orchestra. Hey, Mostly Superheroes fans, it's Logan here, and I've got the perfect spot for your next night out. City Winery, St. Louis. Imagine this, intimate shows with your favorite artist, world-class wine crafted right here, and great food that'll make your taste buds dance. Whether you're catching a live concert in their cozy listening room or planning an unforgettable private event, City Winery St. Louis has got you covered. It's the ultimate blend of music, wine, and dining, all under one roof. Don't miss out. Check out their full show calendar and book your table at citywinery.com/St-Louis. That's citywinery.com/St-Louis. We'll see you there.
Hi, everyone. I'm interrupting this podcast to talk about another podcast. Hi, I'm Randi Naughton. You know that lady from TV for so many years? Well, I too have a podcast called More to Say with Randi Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. And when I say interesting, I mean amazing people. What about the Mac Daddy of all sportscasters, Bob Costas? Phyllis from The Office. Phyllis Smith is her name. Alan Hunter, one of the original MTV VJs. We talk to people about medicine, about tech, about travel, you name it. Great conversations. Now, they're, again, not interviews, they're conversations. So you never know where they're going to take us. Make sure when you're done with this podcast, check mine out. It's called More to Say with Randi Naughton, available wherever you stream your podcast.
Hey squad, Logan here from Mostly Superheroes, wanting to talk to you today about some real life heroes. Team Jakey, headquartered here in St. Louis, Missouri. They're turning the tragedy of losing their beloved Jake Zeller into life-changing action. Not just by making a difference, but by saving lives. Team Jakey supports both the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and Provident Behavioral Health here in St. Louis. Join us at their annual Gentleman Jake Memorial Cornhole Tournament. It's more than just a game. It's a community coming together to lift each other up with some of the world's best prizes. If you're feeling down or know someone who is, Team Jakey's here with a message of hope. Reach out by calling 988. You can also visit www.afsp.org or text TALK to 741-741. You're not alone, and there's always a way forward. Someone's waiting for your call or text message. Search for Team Jakey on Facebook and learn more at www.mostlysuperheroes.com/give. Every bit helps, and together, we can make a difference. We got pretty cool ads on this podcast, I'll give us that. However, you might be like me when it comes to certain content, and I just don't want the ads. As little as $1.99 a month, you can get ad-free content from Mostly Superheroes. That's right. Patreon, Apple Podcast, Podbean, all of these channels offer ad-free versions of our episodes coming out early, including the Patron Pre-Show, the show before the show. Open up Patreon, Apple Podcast, or Podbean, or go to mostlysuperheroes.com/support to learn more. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcasts. Mostly Superheroes Indie Podcast has a slate of upcoming titles, interviews, and topics ready for our listeners and fans, and you could reach our audiences. Hear our voice, our crew, record an ad in your style, and make your brand heard on Mostly Superheroes. Find out more at mostlysuperheroes.com/sponsor. We can go back to you, Sam. I know that you had some comic book stuff you wanted to kind of highlight, and I mean, anytime we can chat about comic books. We're trying to do it more often. We don't do it enough. Usually in the TV and film. So what do you got comic book wise?
All right, so I have been taking a deep dive into Silver Age spy comics. So what I did, and I got as well as like buying graphic novels and single issues from comic book stores, like a good nerd is supposed to do, help the scene. I also got the DC Universe Infinite app, and so what this app does is you just read comics on an app. And so if I want to get like the latest issue of Nightwing, I'll go to a comic book store and I'll buy it because I want to keep these businesses alive. But if I want to read like a Doom Patrol comic book from like 1968, that's what you got the DC app for, because they have a backlog all the way back to like Action Comics #1 in 1938, like the first appearance of Superman. But
I'm listening. I'm a Marvel Unlimited app user.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, I've been like combing through some stuff, and I wanted something a little different. So I've been really getting into like the late 80s, early 90s spy stuff. And there's a comic book series called Checkmate, which is an attempt at DC Comics to get like very geopolitical, very serious, sobering stories. But in order to do that, they've made this like crazy James Bond like secret spy organization based entirely off chess, to the point where like your rank in the organization is named after a chess piece. So if you're just like a goon in disguise tailing someone, you're a pawn. Yes, exactly right. Chess. There you go. Nailed it. The queen of the organization is, of course, Amanda Waller, who shows up every once in a while. And then there's like bishops who like run and oversee missions. And one of the bishops in this organization is Harvey Bullock, who is the slovenly detective from like Batman comics. Like he's the big dude in like Batman the Animated Series, like a mainstay of any Gotham setting. Like Harvey Bullock's there. For some reason they hire him to head up missions for the super spy organization.
Harvey Bullock was the guy above Jim Gordon in Gotham?
No, he was below. He was
Below.
a detective.
Yeah.
Detective.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
I'm
Detective
tracking,
Harvey Bullock. But the weird thing about this is that it still has to be a superhero comic book. So they're trying to do the super spy stuff, but it can't just be a bunch of, people in plain clothes and tuxedos like James Bond. It's still DC Comics. So they have in Checkmate, they have knights. And knights are the field agents. And knights in Checkmate have basically fucking superhero costumes, which is hilarious because it's like, we need you to go into this bad guy's warehouse and get evidence of this crime. And instead of like dressing a guy up in like a maintenance uniform, it's like, put on this skin tight black costume with gold helmet and highlights and go sneak into this thing with like a giant knight sigil. And it's like, oh, I wonder who did this. A knight from Checkmate. They're right there.
They're not shy with their branding.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's supposed to be this like super sleuth stuff, but it's like, oh, who did this? I think that's a knight from. I can see this.
It wasn't Carl the maintenance man.
Yeah, I can see that.
We've got it on video.
I can see the sunlight glinting from your helmet. But yeah.
Yeah, I saw this in Smallville actually play out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And even in Smallville, they did the same thing. It was like the crime happened, and they were like, "Who could possibly have done this?" And it was definitely like a rook.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely
on the wall, and I was like, "It's got to be Checkmate."
Yeah. It's very interesting. So
Okay.
it's still like the superhero like fetishism. Like for some reason the symbology is more important than anything else, right? It's not like it's not like, oh, I'm the chess king and these are my pawns. It's like, we are Checkmate, a serious spy organization. Knight to rook 5, go get them. They'll say things on missions like the board's in play, the square's in play, go. So it's very interesting to see this like mashup of superhero iconography and like heroism and like all these cool action scenes mixed with like the infrastructure of spycraft. And that got me onto like other stuff like Justice League International, which was big at the same time, which is basically like, what if the Justice League, instead of being like a fun, campy group of people in the Hall of Justice in, where did they put that? DC?
I think it was DC.
Yeah, by the UN building.
Yeah.
What if instead of that, it was the Justice League was just an international strike team, and we'll send them to like, I don't know, Moldova to take out a dictator. It's like, whoa, what are we doing?
Yeah, borders? Well,
yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, it's so funny because they send like Aquaman on missions for Justice League International. It's headed up by the Martian Manhunter. And he basically is like a UN liaison that's like, okay, there's like a drug cartel that's trying to buy senators. Go beat them up. And so they have to go across international lines. But like Aquaman will be on the team sometimes. So it's like they have to fight in a sewer. Yeah. So Aquaman can like jump out of the water.
There's got to be some body of water he's got to leap out of.
They're all just wearing their costumes still. So it's like, it's spycraft. It's like Spec Ops. The UN is sending you to go take care of like a South American dictator, but don't take off your tights. Don't you do it. And
bright orange scaly shirt.
Yeah,
you're good.
So crazy, but it is fascinating to see this attempt to like cash in on spy fiction, the rise of the James Bond and Mission Impossible of it all, and they're trying to blend the strong point of their brand, which is like superheroics, and kind of get into the spy stuff, which is so interesting. Because if you look at like the old school like cowboy comics or sci-fi stuff, a lot of those comic books, they would issue the superhero stuff completely. You get characters like Batlash, right? He has a recognizable costume. Yeah, this is old school shit. Yeah. He has like a recognizable costume, but he's not like suiting up to go fight crime. It's just a Western, right? Same thing arguably with like Jonah Hex. It's just a Western back in the day.
Man, I love Jonah Hex.
Yeah. And so, you'll have characters like Vigilante, Peacemaker, Human Target, who are doing more conventional spycraft.
like a special ops team.
Have you read Tom King's Human Target run?
I do believe I have.
Oh, it's so Tom King's blowing my mind right now.
I tell you what, a show to not sleep on was Human Target.
Really?
I think they made like 2 seasons, and it was great.
Okay.
What
but
about the
yeah.
other ones? You familiar with the other comics he's talking about?
Yeah, I've got-
Checkmate, and then what was the Justice League?
I don't.
Justice League International, JLI.
I
Real big in the
didn't,
80s.
I didn't read too much Checkmate stuff. I think I might have picked up a couple of titles when they just some tie-in stuff on some events. New 52 stuff like that. Countdown. I think Countdown had a couple.
Yeah, I mean they're so well established that they're just kind of around in the background. They're one of those neat organizations that a writer can just sort of lean on if they need, like, I don't know, we need spies in here. Checkmate.
Yeah. Every
Checkmate's
couple
doing
of
it.
years they'll come out like Checkmate special 1 through 5
for sure.
And
And that's one of the
just
things
to tell a story somebody got an idea to tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I love about that sort of like that infrastructure. I love infrastructure. That's one of the things I love about like making D&D adventures and like running long form campaigns is you get these references, these organizations, these things you've touched on in the past that you can, bring back later for effect. And yeah, things like Checkmate or like the League of Shadows, like that assassin organization that Ra's al Ghul runs, you have just these things floating around. And so if you need, I don't know, Black Lightning to have an interesting adventure, I don't know, maybe stumbles into a Checkmate op.
Yeah.
And he gets upon, discovered by the cartel or some crap like that. I love that there's just these organizations out here just doing stuff in this world of superheroes, and they have to kind of blend those genres. But anyway, that's what I've been on lately.
Oh yeah, man, fair share. And it makes me think like they're all Amanda Waller. They led right into Suicide Squad in Smallville from Checkmate too. So it's like I feel like you're seeing like a different side of the world. You're one step away from teams like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, for sure.
Characters.
Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos coming out here in December. Animated show, James Gunn.
Amanda Waller.
I
didn't realize how long that character has been around.
Amanda
Waller has been The Wall.
Yeah.
Has been around for a long time.
She's in Supergirl too. I feel like she's like in every. She's in so
watch
many things.
Supergirl.
I liked Melissa Benoist. I was into it.
She showed up. She showed up in Arrow, as well. A lot of characters showed up in Arrow, but yeah, it was a fascinating character. I love Amanda Waller having a black woman in a position of power for that long. That makes decisions that are like that meaningful, just like crafting and running the Suicide Squad. And nobody fucks with Amanda Waller.
No.
She's an incredible character. And
Viola Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's her voicing the character in the animated stuff too now that's coming out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just an excellent piece of the DC universe. I feel really behind the ball with the Marvel stuff because I go so deep into DC Comics. Like I'll read a couple issues, I'll get a wild hair to go chase down lore on some character or another and pull out the encyclopedia. I'm like, oh well, they were there for that issue and they were part of that backstory for that character that I have not focused on Marvel in like a long time. So yeah, there's a lot of nuance that I am unaware of.
What about Absolute Batman? You're looking at in the Absolute stuff.
I've seen
brand new,
brand new jumping on point, Sam.
Yeah, I've seen. Now I respect Batman's place in the canon, but Batman's never been my favorite. My favorite thing about Batman is all the characters around him. I love Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl. I love the Joker, obviously. Not in the way that I want to be him, but he's an interesting fictional character.
And you're wearing a shirt. You're wearing a shirt with a Joker on it. Yeah,
yes,
because it did kind of make it sound like you wanted to be like a complete killer lunatic.
There is a genre of comic book fan that likes the Joker in the wrong way, and I'm
Yes.
not afraid to say
Absolutely.
it. And we need to take a step back from these characters and realize that they're characters that we should not idolize.
Did you watch that? Did you watch the new Joker?
Now, here's what I did
Joker,
about
Folie, Deux. He hasn't seen either one.
Here's what I did about the new Joker film, and this is something that I've done, and this might be blasphemy to some folks, but sometimes I want to experience something without having to experience it. So what I did is I just read the plot synopsis on Wikipedia, is what I did.
And I just explained it to Scott.
Yes.
The other day.
Oh yeah, I saw a little bit of that on Instagram. I saw the first Joker movie, thought it was great, good fun time, dark, brutal, psychotic, always a pleasure. to see Joaquin Phoenix just be nuts. I like that they made the Joker this like really cringingly awkward goon as opposed to like the coolest, most in control agent of chaos. They
super villain.
Yeah. They made it very realistic. Like even at the end when he shoots Murray, he's like fidgeting and he picks the gun up and puts it back down because he doesn't know what he's doing.
He hasn't seen it.
There's no plan. He's fine.
Nope.
You gotta watch those You gotta watch those spoilers. It's a skill. I'm realizing.
Sorry.
It's a skill set.
Spoiler.
It's okay. We're in the
as
editing
if
room.
you haven't seen that.
Logan, edit.
That's a Roadhouse right there. Roadhouse.
Back it up.
As if you haven't seen that meme a million times.
You're right.
Yeah. So I read the synopsis on the second one, and I don't need to see it.
Yeah, sure. Andy the giggler. He's with you. He's totally with you. All right, how about we segue why a lot of folks I know jump in today. We got new fans coming in all around the world, I bet, for Dungeons & Dragons, and it's all through Sam. Sam has been our guy. Scotty doesn't do enough for the culture in here.
I don't play enough anymore.
He's begging. Like, you got to get back involved.
So,
are you in a text group or something? You can add too.
One couple in my group had a baby last year, and then another couple in my group had a baby just a few months ago. And it's just been a struggle bus to get in and get a game going.
Scheduling is the greatest villain in all Dungeons and Dragons.
Absolutely.
What's the takeaway here? I mean, so do you want to play more? Would you play?
Absolutely.
Everyone that plays this
Always
game
wanna
wants to
play.
play more.
You're trying to find the time and the place.
You got any
advice?
I mean, I think you just gotta wait it out.
Yeah.
There's if you have finding an established group is finding a good group of players that you get along well with, that tell stories the way you like to tell them, and that respects everyone is incredibly hard to do. And if you find that, you got to hold on to it with everything you can and weather the occasional interruptions to your schedule, because people got to live. Life comes first, then the game, especially when you get to be around our age. There's other things that take precedent, but I had someone email me not too long ago asking if I knew of any games going on, and finding a game from scratch can be incredibly difficult, even disheartening. People want to play, they want that connection, they want to tell stories, they want to feel powerful. And to anyone that is looking for a game, you can hire a professional DM like me, samthedm.com, to get you going, to get a one shot together. But even then, some people say oh, I don't have a group. I want to play, I'm reaching out to you, but I don't have a group of people. I've had some folks ask if I can bring along players, which is unfortunately not a service I can provide, but there are plenty.
Or can you?
Well, I mean, it'd be pretty rad if I pulled up with a truckload of dudes.
I'm in for a professional D&D player.
You just need to be.
Oh man, that'd be so interesting. Yeah.
You don't have enough guys? I could bring a couple.
Just seat fillers for D&D campaigns.
I think we're onto something. We're onto something here. Maybe a D&D bus or something. You do one shots and meet up for a couple. I don't know. Meet. I don't know. Could you
hey, me and my two friends want to play, but we'd like to have a full group. Well, at least 4 or 5 guys.
Well, is there anything Dungeons and Dragons fans are talking about right now in the rules or anything? You always check out the new rule books. And
we had the new
D&D 1
new player's guide come out.
Yes,
it was just a month ago.
The 2024 new player's handbook for Dungeons and Dragons is out now. It is a technically new system called D&D 1.
Yeah.
And so it's the newest update. They update the game fairly often. This will be the 6th-ish version of the game that's come out since the 70s. They have to redo rules after it's been play tested for, how many thousands of hours.
I think they've been play testing this for at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
On and on. They do what's called unearthed arcana.
Yes.
To throw out some new rules and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then they'll just compile that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating process these days, because back in the day, you're going to put out a new player's handbook for a new version of the game. So what do? You got to go out to game stores. You have to put out stuff in Dragon Magazine. You have to get as many publications as you can. In the early 2000s, you have to get on, message boards and try. But now with social media, Wizards of the Coast has never had this much immediate feedback to every one of their moves constantly. Every social media platform, every nerd that is into this stuff and has something to say about it, which is completely fair, is voicing their concerns in real time all the time. So you can go on the D&D Beyond website and leave like comments on their new posts. You can, through every social media outlet, every time something new comes up, all the nerds are able to, give their feedback, which is great because you can float something out there, get the response in real time, see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, it seems great. I mean, it's like all
there's
the fandom
always
now.
something. They're like, oh yeah, here's this new rule and this new feat, and they can get feedback immediately. Oh, this is broken. This is immediately broken.
Yeah, for sure.
We had this guy do this, and he was completely overpowered and killed everyone, and you can't do this.
Yeah, it's had an interesting impact, I think, on the development of this and even the marketing of it, because there are so many reservations about this new version because of all this feedback and because Wizards of the Coast is pretty famously at this point made some pretty huge missteps over the past 3 years. Yeah. They tried to get rid of the open licensing agreement for their system, which is something that has been, ubiquitous since the game started pretty much. Yeah. They tried to take away the ability for people to just, take these tools and run with them and make their own stuff.
To do this.
Independent writers like myself who make these adventures for version 5e of Dungeons and Dragons.
5e compatible.
5th edition compatible. For a little bit, Wizards of the Coast decided, hey, no one can do that without paying us a bunch of money.
Yep.
The fans freaked out. They, went back on it. A little bit ago, they had some drama because there's an application, a phone app for Dungeons and Dragons called D&D Beyond, where you can have your character sheet, all your spells, all the pertinent info for your character, entire rule books on an app on your phone. I can pull it up right now. It's incredible.
Yes.
Wow.
But since it came out with this new rule book, the 2024 Player's Handbook, they tried to take all the info on their app, swap it out, swap the old stuff out with the new stuff. And everyone got mad because, hey, we want to use the old stuff still. Don't take that stuff off the app. Don't switch stuff around on my digital character sheet. So they had to come out again and be like, our bad, whoops.
Yep,
we're not going to do that anymore. So I'm sure that they are all the developers, the game designers, Chris Perkins over there, I'm sure they're all terrified of what's going to happen. But I've seen them in launching this get, I guess not paid, but get YouTubers and influencers, because there is now an entire market of D&D YouTubers and influencers, which is also a beautiful thing, to talk about the book. So there's a influencer I follow, Ginny D, who makes a bunch of D&D content. Yeah, she's great. She's great. I aspire to one day have a fraction of her following or success. Love Ginny D. She put out a video talking about the new book, and she had to go out of her way to say, they did not pay me to say this. I don't care if you buy this book, but here's my thoughts on this book. She had Dave Perkins. What is that guy's name? Am I saying Chris Perkins?
Chris Perkins?
Chris Perkins, yeah. The lead game designer, on her, she filmed an interview she had with this guy that designed the game to talk about the game. And so it's been really interesting seeing this launch, because they have to come at it because the game's so big and so popular, so much is invested in it from every possible angle. And you can't please everyone. I'm personally excited to get my hands on this thing and see what it's going to look like. As someone as deep in the game as I am, there's professional reasons to do that, but there's also curiosity. But yeah, it's literally going to be a whole new world. There's a new player's handbook out now. There's going to be a new Dungeon Master's Guide out next month. And then the Monster Manual, I think, is February. And I think they kind of this is a misstep, I think. Why are you not releasing all three of these books at the same time? That's an excellent point. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. I think that that is pretty silly. You need they are called the core rule books.
Yes.
One book teaches you how to play the game, one book teaches you how to run the game, and one book has all of the creatures in the game and their stats, and they're
read one at a time,
staggering their release. Which is pretty silly.
Everybody's, as far as I know, everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to buy this until the third book comes out.
Yeah, for sure. You buy the bundle
because it's basically useless I mean, you could still theoretically figure it out.
Yes. You can play with only the player's handbook.
Yeah.
But the other ones make it a lot easier. And from what I've heard of the new Dungeon Master's Guide, they're making it a lot more accessible, and it will actually have some adventures written into it, which sounds good.
Yeah.
It seems like they're taking steps not to just be like, here's a book full of tables you can reference. It's like, here's a book that tells you how to play a game.
Yeah.
And if I've learned anything, it's that the world needs way more dungeon masters out there. We need way more people playing or running this game, because there's, everyone wants to play it, and there's not enough people with the attention span, the skill set, or the will or knowledge to sit down and run it. Which is,
hey, great job, guys. And if you listen to that and you understood everything, boy,
I saw his eyes glaze over.
Boy, do I have a
After a
show
while.
for you. And it's such a segue from like where you landed too, is like, you want to hang out with people that know about this stuff. You want to have like more social aspect to D&D. Not only can you hire Sam the Dungeon Master to come and run your games at samthedm.com, but you can go and hang out with people at a casual live D&D brunch. The next one on October 27th, Sunday, at the City Winery at noon. You always talk to us about the evolution of these shows, Sam, what people can maybe expect, teases, things that we can look forward to. I mean, it's such a regular conversation with you, but I love it. I want to hear it again, man. This one's obviously Dark Harvest. We're in the spooky season. What can people expect from this show on Sunday? Get your tickets, citywinery.com.
So for those that haven't heard me on this wonderful podcast before, Bubbles and Bards is a show that happens at the wonderful City Winery bar and venue in the, oh my dear Lord.
City Foundry.
In the City Foundry.
Midtown.
How dare I?
Near the Cortex.
Not the Armory. That's closed.
That's close.
Unfortunately.
This is very St. Louis right now.
Yeah, the Foundry.
City Foundry, St. Louis, yeah.
But yeah, so this is a live Dungeons & Dragons one-shot. I will be running a D&D adventure of my own design on stage with local comedians and improvisers. Connor Branson, Tommy Iborg, and Tree Sanchez. These are very funny people, stand-up comedians, improvisers from the Improv Shop here in our very own town of St. Louis. And I run a game for an audience to see, which is great because Dungeons & Dragons at the end of the day is a storytelling game. And so we make a narrative in real time in front of an audience, and the crowd gets to cheer along with all their successes and failures. Everything in D&D is based on the roll of a dice. So no matter what scenario I come up with, no matter what the players choose to do, there's a chance they could fail, and you can cheer and boo along with everyone else in the crowd at this lovely live show. You don't have to know anything about D&D to enjoy it, because there'll be plenty of comedy, plenty of action, and we do what we can to keep the rules in the background and keep the action to the foreground, which, I've gotten pretty good at over this past, half decade of running games for pay. But
Basically writing D&D movies.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I come from a background of comic books and action films, and that definitely colors the way that I run games.
You're coming to a professional storyteller doing a professional D&D storytelling.
Professional author.
A professional author. And if you're a D&D fan, you're just in your element. You're just like, oh my God, my people are here. And then I was sat right across from Scotty, never played D&D once. Still haven't. And had a great time. It's a show. It's a wonderful show and a wonderful brunch.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah, the food's great too. So yeah, it's at noon. It's a brunch show. So when you buy your ticket, you can get access to that delicious brunch buffet they got up there. And get mimosas, get a Bloody Mary, chill out, enjoy the show. There is an audience participation aspect to this. Anyone that plays Dungeons and Dragons, the audience gets to basically control the inspiration of the party on stage. So the audience can make a failed check turn into a successful check. So you can literally determine the course of the adventure if you come to the show. And I will have copies of the Cobra Express for sale at the show as well. So if you want to come check it out and also get a copy of my book, it's 2 for 1.
Hell yeah, Sam. And congrats again, dude, doing this show again. Scotty, any questions going into this next one?
I think I have 2 things.
Yes.
Well, when I was at the last show, something occurred to me. We had a token at our table.
Yes.
And there was a failure, and we used it for a reroll.
Mm-hmm.
Could I have used that for a reroll for a success?
Now that is
Would
a
that
question.
make me a villain?
That's a question I've been asked before, and I'm not entirely against it. I think that some epic level trolling from the audience would be perfect for a more, I don't know, spooky themed adventure.
All right.
Like Bubbles and Bards Dark Harvest, our Halloween themed adventure. So I will say definitively on this podcast, yes, you can use the inspiration tokens that I will hand out to the audience to make a player fail a check.
We have once again impacted the show.
Yes.
This is amazing.
I want some people like tripping on the stairs, running away from the bad guys. We want people, getting roughed up by these monsters. So yeah, you can troll in a very controlled manner that I will prescribe at the event. But yeah, you can control the roles of the players. So you're not only an audience member, you're also participating in this affair. And yeah, it's always a great time. The food's great. The folks at City Winery are amazing. It's a great venue. With a whole ass stage and lighting and stuff. It's by far the most professional stage I've ever performed on, and I'm absolutely delighted to be able to get to do this kind of stuff.
What was your second one? You number two.
Second one is I see a new face up there, Tommy Iborg.
Yes. So Tommy is a buddy of mine and Connor's, who I've met at the Improv Shop here in St. Louis, and the guy's hilarious. The cast of this show, as it goes on, will probably change based on everyone's availability. Again, the greatest enemy to any D&D
Absolutely.
campaign. So yeah, Elena, who is usually with us on this, was not available, but Tommy is a more than adequate replacement.
It's cool that you got the rotation. That's cool.
Yeah. Trying to keep an eye on funny folks that know about D&D so that, we can keep these going and make sure we've got enough players every time. So I guess, if there's any listeners out there with a background in comedy and Dungeons and Dragons, samthedm.com, hit me up.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you for coming in and spending time with us again. We
My
get to nerd
absolute
out
pleasure.
about all sorts of things.
Mhm.
Blade, D&D, some comics, DC and Marvel, little movie, TV show. Scotty, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Maybe we can do final rounds here, and we'll give Sam one last chance to give final plugs. But what do you got?
Go see this show. It's fun.
It is. We can both vouch for it.
Yeah.
We've both been. It is a good ass time.
Yeah. I think I'm at 3.
You're like a groupie.
Yeah.
It is thoroughly appreciated.
And from my side, yeah, man, just good to get in here and nerding out again. Hope you're enjoying more content out there. Weekly episodes dropping. Sam, where can they find you?
I am Sam the DM, St. Louis's premier professional practitioner of all things Dungeons & Dragons. You can check out my stuff at samthedm.com, including my podcast, Challenge Rating 0, available wherever you find podcasts. You can get links to my live show, Bubbles and Bards Dark Harvest, a D&D brunch at citywinery.com/St. Louis. And show up for Bubbles and Bards on October 27th at noon at City Winery STL. It is live Dungeons and Dragons on stage. It is comedy, it is action, it is brunch. Get you some.
Get you some. You heard it here on Mostly Superheroes. We'll see you next time on the podcast. Take it easy. Mostly Superheroes is proud to be funded in part by our sponsors. Mostly Superheroes is funded in part by paying patrons who receive early, ad-free, and exclusive episodes. Subscribe at mostlysuperheroes.com/support. Thank you for supporting your favorite independent podcast. Mostly Superheroes is an independent podcast owned and operated by Carrogan Ventures in St. Louis, Missouri. Hosted by Logan Janis, Andy Hunn, and Scott Swearingen. Brand and creative by Carrie Clark Design. Music by Audionautics. Learn more at audionautics.com. Find more at mostlysuperheroes.com.